The verdict is in. The Parkland school shooter will be sentenced to life behind bars more than 4 years after that deadly massacre.
News 13's Samir Nefsi breaks down what it means moving forward.
In February of 2018, a then 19-year-old Nikolas Cruz opened fire at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, killing 17 and injuring 17 others. Thursday afternoon, 12 jurors recommending a life sentence for the now 24-year-old. 4 months, family members of the 17 slain during the Parkland shooting hearing the gruesome details while the prosecution and defense worked opposing sides on Cruz's punishment, life or death.
He was sentenced to death. When you sentence a person to life imprisonment, they will die in prison. They are not coming out of prison on parole.
Jury foreperson Benjamin Thomas says 3 jurors voted against the death penalty. Without a unanimous vote, Cruz receiving what his defense pushed for, life without the chance of parole.
It can be very hard for 12 people to agree that somebody who is that young should, basically be executed. It's not like Ted Bundy, who was older. We're talking about a teenager.
Jurors were tasked with deciding if mitigating factors like Cruz's upbringing and mental health outweighed the aggravating factors laid out by the prosecution.
He had a very challenging life. Now, does that excuse what he did? No, it doesn't excuse it.
The decision not sitting well with Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis.
He's guilty. Everybody knew that from the beginning, and yet it takes years and years in this legal system that is not serving the interests of victims.
Meanwhile, family members of the Parkland massacre expressing their frustrations with the verdict.
We are beyond disappointed with the outcome today. This should have been the death penalty, 100%.
Today's ruling was yet another gut punch for so many of us who devastatingly lost our loved ones on that tragic Valentine's Day. 17 beautiful lives were cut short by murder. Heinous, pre-planned, torturous murder. And the monster that killed them gets to live another day.
Cruz's massacre is the deadliest mass shooting that has gone to trial in the country. 9 other people in the United States who fatally shot 17 or more people either died during or immediately after their attacks by suicide or police gunfire. The 21-year-old suspect in the 2019 massacre of 23 at a Texas Walmart is awaiting trial.
Juries take their jobs very seriously, and they will decide it based upon what they hear in that courtroom at that time, not what happened in this case.
The judge will officially sentence Nikolas Cruz on Tuesday, November 1st.
New at 5, more than $2 million in grant money will help correct a flooding problem that impacts a road in Transylvania County.
It's an issue that can often cut off emergency crews from accessing certain areas. News 13's Andrew James shows us what's in the works to fix it.
This is the stretch of Hart Road this grant money will be used for. The plans for the project are to actually raise the road in hopes of cutting down on the frequency of flooding. People living on this stretch of Hart Road in Transylvania County are used to the road flooding. County Manager Jamie Lauder says it floods 7 to 8 times a year.
When that section floods and another access road floods, the only access is through a gravel road that has had 2 washouts in the last few years.
Making a dangerous situation for first responders who are sometimes unable to access the Little River community until the water recedes.
When it floods, it is in combination with other flooding areas that creates a cutoff for a section of our community, or at least difficult to get to with emergency vehicles.
With $2.3 million in grant money from the Transportation Infrastructure Resiliency Fund in hand, the county is taking steps to address this long-standing issue. The project includes raising the road elevation of a 700-foot section of Hart Road spanning from Everett Road to Eagles Nest Lane. The county manager tells me this work is long overdue and should help cut down on flooding that quickly becomes a safety concern when first responders cannot get through. But is there any concern that raising the roadway will have any negative effects on property owners near the roadway?
There's always that concern with property owners anytime you make a change, and so DOT has already started on the hydrology component of it. What they're hoping to do is raise the roadway but make sure that water can go underneath the road, and that way that'll prevent any impacts to property owners upstream or downstream.
And this project will be done in partnership with NCDOT. The county manager hopes the work is complete by June of 2024.
The November midterms are less than 4 weeks away. I'm Jay Siltzer. Tomorrow will be the last day for people to register right here in North Carolina. However, those who miss that deadline can still do so during early one-stop voting. News 13's Stephanie Santastasi shows us what you need to know before then.
You have until Friday at 5 to drop off that voter registration form here or to have it postmarked. Election officials say it's best to register before early voting so you can view your sample ballot ahead of time. In 1 week, voters here in Buncombe County can head to the polls to vote early for the upcoming midterm election. Election day isn't until Tuesday, November 8th, but early voting begins October 20th and runs through November 5th. During that early voting period, people who miss the registration deadline can same-day register and vote or make changes to a voter registration. To register to vote in North Carolina, you must be a U.S. citizen, live in the county where you are registering, be at least 18 years old, and not be in jail or prison. So far, Buncombe County's Director of Elections says this election seems to be top of mind for many people already.
There definitely has been more interest in this election, and that has been the pattern since I started working here 7 years ago. Every comparable election has gone bigger and bigger, and this one will be no different. We expect record turnout for this midterm.
This year, North Carolina now recognizes 4 political parties: the Democratic Party, the Libertarian Party, the Republican Party, and now the Green Party. A voter may choose one of these or can decide not to register with a party at all. In that case, the voter will be registered as unaffiliated. We have information on all the latest races, the candidates, and what you need to know before voting on our website, WLOS.com.